knitters, come on in. This is the Cozy Sky Knits podcast. Today is episode 23. My name is Elizabeth and I'm your host today, coming to you from Georgetown, Texas, where I live with my mother Nancy and my senior cockapoo Sullivan. Today is, like I said, episode 23. However, it is not a standard episode. I'm going to be doing a special episode talking about color and breaking all the rules specifically with color. So if that sounds interesting to you, grab a beverage of choice, whether it's hot or cold, cozy up, get your project, and let's sit down and talk about color. So in South Texas, every October, there is a yarn crawl that is held amongst all the local yarn stores, and it's called the Best Little Yarn Crawl in Texas. And knitters will gather together, sometimes in groups or by themselves, and over a course of, I think it may be 2 weekends and a week in between, attend or visit as many stores as they can and get their passports stamped and be eligible for prizes. Normally the stores will have a certain yarn on sale and sometimes offer a free pattern for that yarn. So it's really a fun event. And I used to go to it all the time. I haven't gone in as much in the last few years just because of life being in the way. But several years ago, I did go and I went to one of the shops that I had not been to very frequently. In fact, I don't know if that was my first time there. It may have been. But I was proudly wearing a shawl that I had made, not only made, but I also had designed it. And I was planning on publishing the pattern at some point. And my friends all test knit it for me. And so I was really excited about it. And just so excited to be wearing it on this yarn crawl. So here's the shawl. And this color combination was pretty popular at the time. I think Andrea Mowry had made a shawl or designed a shawl, published a pattern that used this combination, and so it was pretty popular at the time. Anyway, story. I walked into this store and this woman greeted me, saleswoman greeted me, and my mother was with me, and she proceeded to say, "Oh, that's a beautiful shawl," and I was quite tickled. I'm like, "Thank you so much, I appreciate that." And then she said in the next breath, "But it's definitely not your color." I didn't even know how to react. I just was heartbroken. That's to say the least. I mean, I just was, number one, I was in shock that a store owner or someone working in a store would say that to a customer. And I was just literally heartbroken because I was so proud wearing this piece that I had made with my hands and had designed. So anyway, that made an impact on me and it's stuck with me for all these years. And I mean, it's been a good number of years. So anyway, I'm trying to get past it. I don't wear the shawl very often as a result of that, and I never published the pattern, but hopefully that's going to change soon. Anyway, I thought as I'm working through my incredible blanket and this shawl story is in the back of my head, I thought it would be a good idea to talk about color. I oftentimes will have people tell me that I have a really good sense for color and combinations, which I appreciate that. I'm not sure why. I think sometimes you just get a feel for it, or maybe sometimes you just aren't afraid to put combinations together that maybe other people wouldn't think of. So anyway, I just want to take a little bit of time to kind of talk about all of that with you. Color is the visual perception triggered when different wavelengths of light strike the cone cells in our eyes, sending signals that our brain interprets as hues like red, blue, or green. It is not an inherent property of objects, but rather a sensation created by our minds. So what is color actually? Pigments? Something you see? It's a visual? Sure, all of that, all the scientific stuff. But also, color to me evokes emotion. Colors can make you happy. Colors can make you sad. Colors can change your mood. Colors can make you feel calm. Colors can excite you. All of these emotions can be brought on from color and from varieties of color. So I want to go down this little road with you and explore why we pick colors, how to pick colors, present to you some tools that can be used, and then also to talk about how we can overcome some of the rules for the colors that people say we shouldn't wear, because I don't believe that anymore. So when we're picking colors, there's a lot of things that we can do. There's some tools that you can use if you're not comfortable with picking palettes. So I have a few of these color books, which you've probably seen before, but these are some Japanese color books that I just picked up on Amazon, where they will show palettes of coordinating colors or complementary colors that just artistically work. So that can be a really useful source for helping to identify different palettes. And a lot of these are based on artwork, which is quite interesting too, because obviously color in art is everything as well. So I have a couple of these. Like I said, they're little Japanese books. You can see the different combinations, which really can help with ideas. But something I recently got that actually I really find useful is a color card deck. And this one I also picked up from Amazon. It's from Joan Wolfram Essential Color Card Deck. Comes in this nice box. And it comes with a really nice color chart. It has neutrals, a whole palette of colors, and a color wheel. And then on the back of this, it's instructions on how to use the different cards. What I like about these cards, let me pull out one of the cards for you. So here's an example of one of the cards. This color happens to be called 1 Yellow, and the hue is pure color. On the back of the card, it shows you a lot of information on how it falls on the color wheel, complementary colors, and what have you. So a lot of good information on this. But the thing that I really like about this the most is that it's just really easy to use in terms of visually pick it up. Do I like it? Do I not like it? How does this color make me feel? Is it happy? Is it calming? Does it excite me? What kind of emotion do I want to feel? What mood am I in? So you can see it goes through, there's all different colors in here. These are different yellows. Funny that this is the color I can't wear. I'm showing you all the yellows, but anyway, I just think it's a really cool thing. So the way I use it is if I had like a painting, and I'm going to show you a painting that I have from, actually I was gifted recently, which I think is really beautiful. It was done on rice paper. It's really interesting from one of my neighbors. I happen to love pinks and purples, and this you can see even goes into the yellows. So if I was visually attracted to this and I thought, oh, I'd really love to wear something in that color combination, I could then take these cards. So with this painting in mind, I was able to take those cards and pull a bunch of them that I thought represented the colors in the picture. Now what I would do from this point is take these colors. If I had a pattern in mind, I might limit myself or whittle down to whatever number of colors were in that sweater or garment, whatever the pattern called for in terms of the number of contrast colors and my main color. But what I would do then is then take that card deck into the yarn shop, and I would match up as best I could the colors and to the yarn and select a yarn based on that, knowing that I am going to get a cohesive garment that will somewhat mimic the color scheme in a painting that I truly loved. So that's just one nice thing that you can do with these cards, and I think they're just fun to play with too. They're actually just very inspiring if you are kind of at a standstill and lacking motivation, or maybe you've lost your knit mojo, as we say. Just playing with colors sometimes can really give you a little bit of a spark. So those are a couple of the tools that I've found very useful. Another thing I do on a regular basis sometimes is I just shop my stash. Now I'm very fortunate and I do have quite a large stash, but sometimes I'll just start pulling stuff out, throw it on the floor, mix it up, see if anything inspires me. 2 colors that work together, 3 colors that work together. Oh, maybe I'll look for a shawl in 3 colors, something like that. So that's always fun to do as well. Okay, I'm going to show you a few examples of some colors that I typically cannot wear, but I'm going to also tell you how I do wear them. Okay, so let's start with my shawl. That's a good starting place. I have since got rid of the yellow and white or mustard and cream t-shirt that the woman told me was not my color as well. I just couldn't stand to have that. But anyway, so with this, one way I could really offset this color that's not the most becoming on me is to pair it with a shirt that is a little bit more in my color wheel. So if I wore this and put the shawl on with it, it would help to offset because this would be more against my skin tone, which is more complementary than the mustard itself. So that's one way. And I can show you a few other examples of that as well. Let's stay on the yellow train. This is another sweater that I made that's yellow because I was bound and determined at some point I was going to find a yellow that I could wear. And I think this one is not too bad on me. I think it's bright enough. The way I got to this was a combination of yarns, which we'll talk about a little bit later. But what I wanted to tell you is that the way that I pair this with something underneath, because it is a cardigan, totally changes the look. So this is with navy blue. And then I can pair it obviously with the white. I can pair it with a denim, which is pretty universal. And it can just really, change the look of it and make it more wearable for me. Here's another sweater that I knit in a very neutral tone, which happens to be a cool tone. It has a very pink undertone, but it could potentially wash me out if I'm not careful. So one of the things that I do with this is that I wear a black t-shirt under it or a black blouse, or sometimes white. And you can see that instantly changes and gives me more dimension and doesn't wash me out that way. So that's something that you can do, is go through your wardrobe and pick out shirts that are in a color that you feel comfortable wearing and that you really like, maybe are complimentary, or you get compliments on that when you wear that color, and then see if you can match it up to the color that you are leery of wearing. Another thing you might do is to accessorize. So sometimes I'll put this sweater on with the t-shirt under it, and I'll put a bright red scarf. Really adds a little bit of a pop to it. And red is a color that I usually get a lot of compliments when I wear. So that's another way to do it. I also pair this with olive green, which doesn't seem like it would work, but for some odd reason it does. Again, I'm not getting into all the scientific stuff. I'm just going by how it makes me feel and is it visually appealing to my eyes. Another way we can help get over the I can't wear you color bump is to accent our skin tone with makeup. Now, if you don't wear makeup, maybe you want to just put on a little bit of a bronzer. That can add just a little bit of color to your face, which can oftentimes overcome the washed out look that normally the colors that aren't in our color palette will cause. So here's an example of a bronzer that I use from Laura Geller, which has a lot of different colors in it. And it's just real light, and I'll just put a little bit on that a little bit on a brush and rub it on my face a bit, and it adds a little bit of warmth to my face and a little bit of color, so I'm not so washed out when I wear some colors. Here's another example of a blush that has multi-colors in it. That can help. Also, lip gloss or lipstick. That's another good way to bring a little bit more pop to your face and avoid the washed out look. Another fun thing to play with that can help with wearing a certain color is the jewelry that you choose. So different metals accent colors in different ways. So you might want to cool something down by wearing silver jewelry, or warm it up by wearing a warmer gold tone jewelry. So that's a good way to simply change something, and maybe some colored beads or pearls or things like that that can accent the color and just kind of bring it down a bit or bring it more into your palette through that accent. So oftentimes colors will come in a variety of tones of the same color. So red, for instance, here's an example of 3 different reds that I have. So this one you can see it's got a lot of black in it. It's very dark and deep and moody. This one is more of an orange tone red, so a little bit brighter. And then this one is got a lot of a pink undertone to it, and it's a lot brighter and poppier. So if you want to pick something that you can't wear, look for a tone in that colorway that you might be able to wear. So maybe I can't wear an orange red, I can wear more of a dark moody red, for example. I also have this skeiny yarn that I absolutely love. It's a very dirty, blushy pink. Totally washes me out. How can I overcome that? So what I have chosen to do, or what I plan to do, and this is an idea for you as well, would be to put something between my skin and the color, this color. So put a color that's a little more complementary. This works a little bit. Still not my best color, but it does work. And it would offset and not make me look like I was nude. This green is actually much more complementary to me. So I maybe would put ribbing or the cast on edge in that, and then put these further down in the garment where it's not so close to my face or my arms if I was making short sleeves. So that's just another way, is how you choose to use an accent color. So you can still knit with what you want, just choose something to accent it where it's going to be touching your face or your skin tone to kind of offset that. One of the best ways we can overcome color or enhance colors to get them to a place where we can wear them successfully or feel comfortable wearing them is to combine yarns. And because we're knitters, we have that superpower. We're able to do that. So for instance, my yellow sweater that I mentioned, if you look closely, there are a multitude of colors in this sweater. I actually combined, I think it was 5 strands of yarn, which is a lot, but I had fun with it. And it really worked. So you can see there's a really bright yellow, which was this, almost neon. And then I had a mohair that was very dull, and a couple other colors. I had another yarn that was more like this color. And when I combined it all, it brought it to a different tone for me that I was able to wear. And this actually had a lot of brightness that came through and a lot of dimension. You can see the different flecks from some of the colors that I use, and you can see that brightness coming out that kind of illuminates it and made it something that I could wear. So combining yarns and of different tones in a color family is something that can be really a useful tool. So let's talk about fuzz while we're here. So adding mohair is a very useful tool, mohair or suri, any type of fuzzy yarn. So let's say we have some yarn, and I have 2 examples here of slub yarn. This one, both are gray tone. This one happens to be very cool, and this one happens to be very warm. The warm tone tends to wash me out a little bit more, so I kind of lean a little more towards the cool tone. Well, how can I make this yarn work for me? Well, one way I could do is to take a very cool mohair and add that to it when I'm knitting. And that would create just a little bit of a halo that would cool the whole skein down. So you'd still get the beauty of all the color, but it would cool it to a temperature that's more complementary to my skin tone and my coloring. If the opposite were true and I wanted to make this cooler one warm, I could get a more warm tone. And if I wanted to just neutralize it, just an off-white would work. That will create a very dampening effect on the color. So that's just a couple ways that you can utilize fuzz to make the yarn do what you want with it. We should choose color based on the emotions we want to feel at the time. So if you're looking for something moody or something happy, I know in springtime, sometimes actually in winter too, I will gravitate towards brighter colors because I want that brightness that overcomes the darkness of winter. Not that we have much winter in Texas, but you know what I'm saying. So think about what color does to your mood. How does it make you feel? When you're looking at yarn and trying to pick colors, really tune in to how you're feeling, how that color, when you look at it, makes you feel. And if it's happy, if it's good, if it's positive, go for it. Find a way. I really enjoyed talking to you today about color. I hope I gave you a little bit of inspiration and maybe some tips on how to get around the block on wearing certain colors. Hopefully you'll be a little more fearless with some of the tools that I gave you, and hopefully you'll have fun in choosing colors for your next knitting project. If you are a returning viewer, thank you so much for coming back and spending this time with me. And if you happen to be new and this is the first time you're catching my episode, I appreciate you stopping by as well. And if you would consider subscribing, I would greatly appreciate it as I'm trying to grow my channel. And if all of you could give me a thumbs up, I would also appreciate that. It really does help with the algorithms in YouTube. So with that, I would encourage you to be fearless in your knitting, to go beyond the boundaries of what the color rules are and go ahead and break those rules. Let's have fun with our knitting. That's what this hobby is all about. Until the next time, thank you for being here. Stay safe, happy knitting, and dive into those colors. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.